So I think I'm good on looking towards the Western Conference playoffs for a little bit. So we're going to go to the East, and Miami remains pretty interesting to me. 4th seed, probably not going to have a chance for the top 3. Could get pushed to 5 or even 6th by the Sixers and the Pacers, depending on how things go the rest of the way. Philly's injuries are not going to be helping them right now. An interesting thing with Miami is on December 28th, they were 24-8. Since that time, I think they've gone 14-14. They still have one of the best offenses in the league. Defensively, they've been below average. Of course, their home and road splits have been pretty insane. I mean, 25-4 at home, 13-18 on the road. That alone would make it probably pretty vital for them to get the 4th seed, because them and Philly, it's really weird because both teams have been great at home and bad on the road. So you'd think whoever the 4th seed in that series is might be the difference. And I know it's really stupid to say that, but sometimes the NBA is stupid. But if we can dive into other things and we project Miami in the postseason and all that, I mean, chances are they're going to be facing either Philly. That's the most likely scenario, but they could end up facing the Pacers if Indiana jumps the Sixers. The Heat could end up facing the Celtics if they fall to 6th. They could end up facing the Raptors if the Celtics jump the Raptors and then Miami falls to 6th. Like, it's pretty up in the air right now. The most likely scenario is the Sixers, but even then it is, it's only a half game between 5 and 6. So, alright. I think in any playoff series for Miami, in my opinion, the most interesting player is Bam, because he is so much of what Miami is with his switchability on defense, and when he plays the 4 or the 5, because he does both, they use his playmaking so much. I mean, he's averaging, 5 assists a game, and it's top of the key, guys cutting and stuff like that, and I just feel like what team could neutralize Bam enough? Because outside of that, this Miami team, nice players. Crowder, Duncan Robinson's been one of the best shooters in the league. Dragic has been damn good, and Hero and Kendrick Nunn can make shots. Like, it's all good, but I think Bam is the thing that could be a huge difference in a series against anybody. I mean, Jimmy is great as well, but to me, it's like, if Jimmy plays well and all the other dudes play well, but Bam doesn't, then I don't think Miami has a chance to win a series. And maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm overrating how impactful Bam is for them. But with all that being said, that's why a Philly matchup would be interesting, because for as good as Bam is, Embiid might be too much for the guy to handle. I mean, Bam's defensive discipline is great, and Miami, I'm sure, would get pretty creative with swiping the ball against Embiid, and, you're going to dare some of these Sixers shooters to take shots and stuff, but sometimes if Embiid could just simply overpower a guy, that can be the difference in a series. Especially because I feel like Philly might be the one team, not the one team, but I think they'd be very equipped to deal with Miami's cutting off of Bam, like top of the key elbow things, because they just have so much size to defend that sort of thing. I feel like what would happen is Bam's trying to throw the ball in, and then Simmons is swiping at it, or, Tobias isn't a natural defender, but he's a big guy, and Horford still knows how to play defense, even if he hasn't been as great this year. Then you got Thibault and Richardson, and I just feel like Philly's the type of team that could kind of stop all of the smart offensive Eric Spoelstra stuff that Miami does. I mean, they run a good amount of off-ball stuff. Philly can switch across several positions, I think you can put Thibault or whoever on Jimmy, and you could have some success with slowing him down. So that's all that, but Bam in some ways represents what Horford was and why Horford gave Embiid problems. Now, Bam, while I think he can shoot, he hasn't attempted threes this year, and that could be a vital thing to stretch Embiid out. And we could say the same thing about Sabonis or whoever else. We can get to Indiana in a second. But the other thing with Bam is he can go off the dribble. So you could run some stuff where he might be able to get by Embiid, because we have seen Embiid at times struggle with defending in the open space, and Bam is one of the best ball handling centers in the league. So that would be an interesting back and forth. And again, to me, Bam is the most important player for Miami in a playoff series. If we go to them against the Pacers, which could happen if a little bit of shuffling occurs, similar things. I think Bam could do some stuff in the open floor against Sabonis and Miles Turner and stuff. Turner's a very good defender, but similar to Embiid, I feel like you can have some success against him if you space him out, and there's a chance that none of these bigs would respect Bam's jumper. And like, that is a question about all this as well. So would he attempt some? I mean, there's rumors that he can make them, but up to this point he hasn't really attempted them like that. It would be interesting to see if Miami would go at Sabonis when he's playing with Miles Turner, because they don't play independent of one another. I mean, in the last 15 games, those two have averaged about 19 minutes a game together, so they are committing to that lineup. That being said, would they move away from it if they felt that they had to in a series? And would they be okay with potentially somebody's feelings getting hurt? I mean, if my guess would be if you had to pick between the two of them, Turner would be the one on the bench a little bit more, but I don't know, maybe Sabonis would prove to just not be able to hang against Miami or whoever else defensively. If we look at if the Heat end up against the Celtics or the Raptors in a series, I think both of those teams would do a little better of a job defending Bam. Although for the Celtics, it would be Bam against Daniel Tice or Enes Kanter. And while Tice has good defensive instincts and stuff, he's not as physical as Marc Gasol or Embiid or Sabonis or Turner or anything, so maybe Bam could have the advantage there. He's certainly a better player than Tice. And as far as defending the Spoelstra stuff, the Raptors and Celtics are both full of smart perimeter defenders and two smart defensive coaches. Of course, Spo is very good as well. That is an interesting little subplot of the Eastern Conference playoffs, is you're looking at Budenholzer, Nick Nurse, Stevens, Spoelstra, all four of those guys damn good. And then you got Brett Brown and Nate McMillan up on the rear side, and it's like, that's probably going to matter. I mean, is there a chance that Miami gets outplayed by, let's say, Philly for the majority of the games, but Spoelstra outcoaches Brett Brown enough to where Miami just steals a couple, and before you know it, they win the series? It's certainly possible, man. So yeah, to, I guess, predict stuff for Miami. If they meet the Sixers in round one, and the Sixers are healthy, I would probably still pick Philly, but honestly, it might just come down to who's the 4 seed. I know that's, like, it frustrates me that that's my reasoning, but, like, Philly's 9-22 on the road, so, it might just be that. If it's the Pacers, I'd probably pick Miami to win. With Indiana, they're in this weird spot right now, and they've won 3 in a row, so that's good, but it's like, they're trying to get Oladipo back in there, and it was kind of awkward, and I don't know if they're going to have enough offensive punch without Oladipo being good, but I don't know if there's going to be enough time for him to get to that point, and I think the Raptors, as well as the Celtics, are better than Miami. So, yeah, that's what I got. Shout out to Tyler Hero. And that's it.